Hi everyone, this is Kamau. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be asking you a question, particularly the women. And this question is, have you ever cut your hair really low? And if so, why did you do it? Now, you might be saying, why is this even a question? Why is it even a question as to why women cut their hair? Why do men cut their hair? Just the other day I was thinking about it and I was saying it's like a universal thing for men to have short hair. But who decided that men would be the one to cut and women would be the ones to have long hair? And at two instances in my life, I did the big chop, cut off all of my hair, right down. Okay, so the first time was when I was 19, and the second time was more recently, about 3 years ago. No, a couple years ago, I had locks very, very long, almost touching my butt. And I went through a phase where, I was going through a lot of emotional distress, just coming out of a relationship. And it seemed to me, as strange as it may seem, that all of those emotions were tied up in my hair for some reason. Now, I remember a saying that a woman who cuts her hair is about to do something spectacular. And that is something that I believe, based on my experience and based on what I've seen other women go through, and that when they get to that point where they decide to cut their hair, it's on a much deeper level than we would imagine. So I'm going to look at 4 reasons that I came up with, that from my observation, why women do that big chop, right? As simple as it seems. So the first reason is for style, which is the most obvious reason, right? Now, wearing your hair low is very convenient. You just wash it, you keep it clean, you might oil it or put some form of moisturizer in it, and you brush it and you're good to go. Now, I've seen women who for years and years and years they have used chemicals in their hair or put in weave or whatever, and they get to a point where they're tired of that. They just want to feel light. They just want to be able to get up and go. And wearing your hair low is very convenient. Now, my daughter recently cut her hair, and it's so coincidental. She did it roughly the same age as I did it, because she's 19, and that's around about the same age I did it. And I noticed a lot of young women cut their hair about that time. Now, when I did it, it was not for convenience. So we're gonna get to that point in a little bit. But I think that's the reason that many women do it. And it doesn't have to be permanent. They might just be doing it for a season, for a year or two, and then they might decide to grow back their hair. Right now, the second reason is some women, particularly women who are lesbians or transsexual women who are born female and want to assert themselves as male for whatever reason, they might do it because masculinity is associated with a low cut, and long hair is associated with the more feminine aspects. So in order to, it's like for them, it's a way of affirming. If you were born female and you feel like you're a male, you want to identify as a male, or if you are a lesbian and taking the male role in the relationship, from my observation, then a lot of those women tend to wear their hair low. And even girls having their hair low many people say you look tomboyish, or you just don't look feminine. So because of that association, I've noticed a lot of lesbian women. And when I was growing up too, I heard people say, people would point out to say, women with their hair low, it's like they are suspected of, automatically suspected of being lesbians, especially by men. Now this is because of the association of low hair with masculinity and longer hair with femininity. The third reason would be for religious reasons. Now, just like you have males who are going into a religious order, for example, to become monks, they tend to shave their hair. Similarly, for many women going into such orders, they would be expected to shave their hair. From my observation, it would seem like, well, on one level, it's a part of the initiation. It's a way of, it's symbolic of releasing it's like releasing the worldly ties that you have, because hair is associated with vanity, particularly for females. So shaving the head would be like a part of the initiation, symbolic of letting go of that, of those worldly desires, the desire to be beautiful, the desire to be, to attract the opposite sex. So they would relinquish all of that. As well as many women in the holy orders, they tend to wear veils. So I would imagine having a low cut would be more convenient, wearing a veil all the time. And I went to a Catholic school, and the nuns that were there, whenever they did take off the veil, we saw that their hair was low. So I would imagine it's for convenience as well as for more aesthetic reasons, just abandoning the worldly vanities. The fourth reason, which is, perhaps I should have put this as a second, because it is, it has to do with your identity, and even in some cases rebellion, a form of rebellion to cut your hair. Now, like I said, many young ladies have noticed, and for me, around about 18, 19, it tends to be rebellious in the sense of you want to affirm your own identity. You want to be who you feel you are. Now, as we get older, we know that, what you think you are at 18, 19 is really not the whole you, but at that age you really think that you want to affirm that sense of identity. For me, I was coming very deeply into my Afrocentricity, and I felt that having shorter hair would make me look more African. That's how I felt, because I used to love looking at the pictures of Nubian women and women, the Twa women, the Maasai women, and many of them had very low cut, and it was so beautiful. And I love looking at them, and I felt that wearing my hair low would make me identify with them more. Now we know that Africa is a vast continent with many cultures and many practices, different hairstyles and so on. But those were just the ones that appealed to me then. And I didn't just get up and cut my hair. It was a process of, soul searching, and it took months and months, and then I did it. So when I did it, actually, some persons were saying, "No, you don't look more African." To me, I did, but they were saying, "No, you don't." So, it was just something I went through at that time, and then I became more interested in locks after a while, because that's another thing that I loved. I love the texture and the look and everything of locks. And that has been what I've worn mainly, apart from, as I said, the second time that I cut my hair, which going through that situation, coming out of a relationship and the whole emotional turmoil of that, I just felt like all of that was tied up in my hair. it was on a deeply spiritual level, but I wanted to just start fresh, and for me, cutting my hair was a part of that. I had originally said I would save those locks, and I did for a while, and then I guess because of the same reason why I cut it, feeling that all those emotions were tied to the hair, because spiritually speaking, your hair is an extension of you, and yes, I do believe that whatever you're going through, that's tied up in your this is your antenna, right? It's your feelers. So it is tied up, and I wanted to just make a clean cut to start fresh. And I did, so now my hair, it's growing back. Not as long as it was back then, but it's getting back there. Now, like I said, we take it for granted that it's like men have the right, or we could say the privilege, to just cut. It's part of the culture right around the world. It's almost universal. So to the point where you see a man with long hair, it's like he looks strange. He looks strange to you. But who decided? Who decided that men would, just as how a man can go to the beach or go on the streets without shirt, and he feels he has a right to do so, he has a privilege, but the woman can't. So who decides, that he will have the privilege and she can't? I've actually had men say to me, they would never date a woman with low hair because she would obviously want to be taking the man's role in the relationship. That's how serious they take it, right? You would never date a woman who looks like a man in his eyes. And I've also had a man say to me, actually when I cut my hair, someone said, you did it out of laziness, and women who cut their hair do it out of laziness. How comes you're not saying that men who cut their hair do it out of laziness? So if the woman decides that she doesn't want to spend the time plaiting her hair or braiding or processing whatever she does, it's her hair. So why is it she can't decide, I don't want to have to do that, at least for a while? Why is it she's lazy? Or she's going against her femininity. Why is it seen as that? So it is actually, like I said, it's deeper than we would make it. It's much deeper. It has to do with power struggles, and who has the right to do this, who has the right to do that. Now, for myself, I have 2 sons, and we have never cut their hair. From their babies coming up, never cut their hair. And when they were homeschooled for much of their lives, but when they were going on to high school, we were faced with the rules of the school were that the boys' hair should be low, and so we were told they would have to cover up their hair. All right? No, they're not religious. They're not Rastafarians. There's no religious aspect to it as to why they would want to wear a hat or a tam, but it was stipulated that they would have to do that. Now, it was something we could have resisted, but in my opinion, if I'm going to your institution, I'm going to abide by your rules. If you're coming to my institution, which I do operate an educational institution, you have to follow my rules. So I extend that courtesy to them. So we made sure that our sons had their tams, when they're going off to school, but their hair is plaited. We have never cut it. I feel that each person, whether male or female, should have the right to decide if they will cut their hair and when they will cut their hair. Now, when my daughter came to me about 2 weeks ago and said, I want to cut my hair, is something I've been thinking about, I totally supported her. I didn't say, as a matter of fact, I showed her a picture of myself when I was her age, and I said, look at this. This is exactly what I did when I was your age. So there is something to it. So let me know. Did you ever do the big chop? And why did you do it? Was it for convenience? Was it for identity? Was it for rebellion? Were you one of the lazy ones? As I've been told, I was lazy because I chose to cut my hair. I did it out of laziness. So were you one of the lazy ones? Why did you do it? Did you regret it? Was it just a period and then you decided to go back to allow your hair to grow? Let me know in the comments, and if you can think of another reason, why women cut their hair. Why is it a question? Let me know what you think, and as usual, please like, share, subscribe, and click that bell so you can know when I post more videos.